let's talk about getting into Microsoft. You mentioned that the interview process was a little bit different compared to startup, compared to mid-sized companies and not big tech companies. So can you tell a little bit more about the difference?
Yeah, so I would say Microsoft on interviews is very similar to any other big tech interviews. Usually, what happens is that there is an initial on-screen, or on-site, phone screen interview, or maybe just a online assessment. Usually, it's just an online assessment. They give you a question, and then you have to code it up, right? You have to code it up the solution, and then the online assessment can be very depends on the team. If it's like more front end related, they might give you some HTML, JavaScript, as well as some algorithm data structures. If it's more on the back end, they might give you some questions related to mostly on the algorithm data structure side of things, mostly something about testing your knowledge with the specific data structures or specific algorithms. I've been through many on big tech interviews like Amazon, Twitter, Capital One, or Yelp. Some of the big tech companies interview I've been through, and the interview process is very similar. And after you bypass the on-site, the next stage is basically either a phone screen interview or directly into on-site. Now, phone screen interview, what happens is that if the hiring manager or the recruiter saw the solution that you did on the online assessment, if it wasn't really clear that if this is something that they want to proceed, then they might give you a phone screen. And I actually had this phone screen round in Twitter, and basically what happened is that one interviewer asking you a question, just one question, and then basically like a 45 minutes or a 60-minute session, and then you basically solve the problem with the interviewer. And after that, you basically move on to the on-site, and depends on the company. Some on-site could be 5 rounds, some companies can be just 4 rounds or 3 rounds or just 2 rounds. Can be varied, but the on-site is kind of like the final interview where you and with a bunch of interviewers, right? It could be like one interview with one interviewee versus 2 interviewer, or one interviewee versus another interview. Just it could be one-on-one, it could be one-on-two, and it could be very.
And Eric, you also mentioned that you got several offers before getting to Microsoft, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell a little bit about how many interviews did you go, and like how many interviews you failed, or maybe you declined offers before you getting to Microsoft?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's something happens around last year, September, October, or August-ish. I interview a bunch of companies, but majorly the goal is really like focusing on big tech companies. And I interview companies like Capital One, Twitter, and then Amazon. And then it was, I believe there's some other company like IBM, or let me think about it. Like, I think there's another company in between, but then it was like Yelp, Amazon, and then Lyft. And that was like the last one. And then basically what happened was for Capital One, this was the first interview that I had. I think the experience was very smooth, and they were giving me the offer, but they were requiring me to relocate to Toronto. And the position they gave me was a principal senior level software engineering position. And then I declined that offer because I have to relocate to Toronto, which I don't really want to do that. And then for Amazon, I actually failed that interview. But yeah, I think, well, sometimes interview can be varied because, maybe it could be the question, or maybe because the interviewer and interviewee, like sometimes it could depends on the situation. But I basically didn't really do well on the on-site. And then the next one, it was Twitter. The Twitter, actually, I gone pretty far. They gave me the first they gave me the phone screen, and then they do another interview to basically another 2 phone screen actually, and one is the technical one, the other one is the behavior one. And then when they moved me to the next one, which is the on-site, it was 4 rounds of on-sites, 2 interviewers with one interviewee, which is me. And the position that I interviewed for, it was SDE2, so software engineer 2. Unfortunately, I didn't do well on that one, but I was able to like solve most of the questions. And then I think one of the downfall is one of the question I wasn't able to finish. Maybe it was the coding round, or maybe it was the behavior round. I'm not quite sure. But definitely, some companies, like I mentioned, it can be very like, even XD2, they might ask you like system design kind of questions. So companies it can be different. And the other one is like the IBM. I didn't do well on IBM. And then the other one is Yelp. So the Yelp one, actually, I did pretty well. They were able to give me the SD2 position. but it was fully remote, and I really like that. But the thing is that I think for whatever reason, personal reason, I declined that offer. And then the last one, it was just Microsoft. I think that one is, like I mentioned, it's the experience is very smooth. They gave me the online assessment, and then they gave me the on-site interview, and then after on-site interview, they gave me team matching, and I have two teams that offer me the position. In Microsoft, one, it was more on the front end side of things, and the other position, it was more on the full stack and back end side of things. But at the end, I chose more on the full stack and back end side of things as the role. And then after Microsoft, there was also another company called Lyft. I didn't really go too far because I feel like I have enough offers in hand. So I basically did the phone screen and I didn't do the on-site. Yeah.
That's a wonderful story, Eric. I think
yeah.
that's really inspiring.
It was also, thank you. It was definitely, I study a lot about, LeetCode, about, everything, up to that point. It was, what's the word? It was a really wonderful journey that I, interviewed many companies. Yeah, definitely amazing experience. Yeah.
Awesome. You know what? I want to do another interview with you, and I would like to tell you a little bit more about how did you solve LeetCode problems, like how you should actually do this, or what would you do differently, right? So let's meet next time and talk about preparation for the interview. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds good for sure. I do want to give a shout out to my channel as well, because on my channel, Eric Programming, I haven't posted too much, but I recently did post some videos related to LeetCode roadmap, right? Like study guide, and also like steps that I took to solve LeetCode problems, and also I even categorize many sections about coding LeetCode patterns. So definitely, if you're preparing for LeetCode as well, do check out Eric Programming. And of course, I also do have another channel called Eric Tech, and that channel is mostly specifically talking everything that are not related to LeetCode, basically mostly software development, technology, and different careers. Recently, I interviewed a lot of people with different background, for example, game developers or DevOps or product managers. Try to explore different careers in technology. So if you're interested in those things, please do check them out. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll put all your links in our description, as well as with a guide. Guys, please check out Eric's YouTube channels. Please subscribe to all of them, and including my channel as well.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Eric, thank you very much. And I'll see you then later on our next episode.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.